Welcome to the Something Good podcast, hosted by Renee Mueller, powered by Verly. This is where we interview top business professionals, industry insiders, operational managers, and thought leaders from around the nation, diving into hot current topics to help you experience something good.
All right, we have Adam Urkoski on the hot seat today, and he's over here squirming, wondering what questions I'm going to ask him.
She's ready to
Good thing this isn't live because it could be really dangerous. So Adam is the Senior Vice President at Pinnacle Bank.
Yep.
Is it a certain division or just over
in commercial lending?
Commercial lending,
we
okay.
kind of, there at the bank, we all do a little bit of everything except mortgage. We have a separate mortgage department, but I kind of more focus on small business loans, commercial lending, that type of thing.
Okay, so if somebody had a client or a friend or someone who was interested in a commercial loan, you'd be the guy.
Yep. They could come talk to me. So.
Okay. So on that note, I guess let's just dive right in and tell me what your thoughts are on everything that's changed over the last, let's say, 60 days for sure.
But it's been interesting. Rates have just just skyrocketed. So it's tough. It changes a lot. So when you want to borrow money, even a 1% interest rate hike can make a big difference on what type
about
of payment you're looking at.
75 to 100 grand.
Yeah, and so sometimes when you're talking about commercial loans, you're talking larger, big
Amounts?
bucks, larger dollar amounts. That makes a big difference in what type of payments you can afford, what type of cash flow. And so a lot of times with small business lending, especially if you have a customer who's looking at like a startup thing, when you're going into it, a lot of it is kind of projections, guess and see. So I want to start this new business up, this new project. It's kind of a crapshoot on what's my first 6 months going to look like, what's my first year going to look like, and so 1% of the money you have to borrow makes a big difference in that.
A huge difference, yeah. And I think the commercial rates haven't increased as much as the residential arena, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, they've definitely gone up, but not quite as quickly as the mortgage side has, because those have really shot up quickly.
Incredible. I don't know that I agree with the Fed necessarily doing it that quickly, but obviously I don't have much say in that. So it definitely has changed things tremendously for that debt to income ratio with those clients that we have and the affordability index. And so we've seen a lot of them move over into the rental arena instead, deciding to rent. Then those prices are also going up. I mean, everything, all across the board has gone up. So, so these clients that you have predominantly are commercial. And I would assume then you probably work with folks like the SBA as well.
Yeah, yep. So SBA can definitely step in. They've can help out a lot. So a lot of times the challenges with, say, starting a new business or expanding your business is kind of your cash into the project. The old adage is cash is king. To get started with something new, you need to have some skin in the game. You need to have some cash outlay up front. What SBA does, or NENED is another entity that we work with. They're kind of a more state of Nebraska level entity. They provide some assistance too. So maybe a borrower can't get NENED. So it's Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District. So it's
I just wanted you to say it.
It's a mouthful.
It's like when I say DTI, I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a mouthful. So Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District. But they play a similar role to SBA, where they can kind of step in and maybe help some borrowers who are looking to get started, but maybe can't quite get approved traditionally through a bank on their own.
Okay. So they're all cooperative with one another, basically. So you still need that primary lender, but then these other two.
Correct. They kind of play a secondary role to the primary lender, where they step in and maybe can provide some direct funding of their own, or for SBA, for example, they'll provide like a guarantee, something like that. Kind of limits the risk to the bank a little bit, and helps us encourage to lend more money out a little bit easier.
So the commercial sector in Columbus has really skyrocketed as well the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years for sure. There's a ton of projects coming. There's a ton in the works right now. So as Dr. Copples was here, we were talking about what the hospital has done, because they have obviously played a big part in development around Columbus. So any of these clients that are coming to you for these projects, let's say, are you looking at the pro forma altogether, helping them with thoughts as far as down payment or different programs and guiding them in that direction?
Yeah. A lot of, like you said, it's just new projects, they've been exploding. Especially look at the north side right here
Oh,
around the
yeah, it's
bypass.
incredible.
It's just taken off the past couple of years.
Hmm.
So yeah, we try and work with our clients from day one, and there are other outside entities that we can engage to help develop those pro formas, those cash flows, things like that. Look at a lot of statistics for similar businesses across the state.
Okay,
Type of thing, so to help them try and gauge and prepare for what they're going to be seeing. Like I said, the first 6 months, the first 12 months,
sure.
when they open up. So it's a scary idea to start a business from scratch and not really know what you're going into.
Right.
A lot of these people go from, hey, I've been working a W-2 job for 10, 15, 20 years, and I've been able to count on that steady paycheck. And then all of a sudden, hey, I'm on my own. I'm the boss. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to pull a paycheck
Right.
for the first couple months that
Yeah.
I'm, in
So are
business.
there community partners that you're sending them to, or that you're helping them
Yes.
coach through this?
Yep.
Okay.
So no, there's a lot of resources, and Columbus is great, and there's a lot of statewide resources too that kind of help these small business owners get started with
Hmm.
things.
Yeah. Well, you're part of Columbus Area Future Fund,
Correct.
which we
Correct.
serve on that
Yep.
together. So it's a great organization. And so I know there's a lot of aid through, I shouldn't say aid, but a lot of help and resources through programs like that.
Hmm.
So as far as maybe where some of the resources would be, folks who have their own businesses. So I assume that's probably a great resource
Yep.
for that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and one of the reasons that you're on our podcast today, Adam, is because not because I want to put you on the hot seat. He's looking at me very nervously over here, Matt Limberg. Is because you're alumni to Columbus.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so you graduated from Lakeview, is that
I
correct?
graduated from Lakeview in 2005. So
Oh, so it would have been the same year as Kurt then, or was
no,
he?
Kurt was 2 years older than me.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
So
I think he was
2003.
03. He was
I keep
03.
getting all the years
So
screwed
it's
up. But anyway,
once you get to this point, they
right
all
in there
kind of run
somewhere.
together.
Whatever, it doesn't
It's
matter.
all,
Yeah,
we played football together. We were on the same team, so that's all that
that's
matters.
funny.
You're in the same kind of
That's right.
timeline.
Yeah, same little circle.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed, obviously, since then.
Definitely, a lot has changed. When I look back to, and I was born and raised here, so I grew up about 5 miles north of town. My parents live right behind Lakeview, so I grew up a Lakeview kid. Grew up north of town, and just to see how much things have changed in the past 35 years, I guess, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
The city is absolutely growing. Um, just even the past 5, 10 years,
Oh yeah.
with all the quality of life centers, with what's going on with the bypass, with all this commercial expansion around
Mhm.
the bypass,
Yep.
what it's going to be like 5, 10, 15 years from now, you can only guess.
Yes, exactly. So we were at a graduation over the weekend, and I was just trying to make people nervous intentionally, saying, it's going to be just a matter of time, like a short amount of time before your properties are annexed out there.
Yeah,
And they're all looking at me like, what? Get out of here. Stop
that
talking.
can be a very touchy subject.
I know,
because
it's a very-
that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah,
That's
especially
a
when you're
big
talking to
deal.
farmers that are out north,
Yes,
my
yes.
taxes are not going to be increased that much, but it's really inevitable. And so, I just bring it up to sort of be a smart aleck, like I said, put people on a hot topic. But really, as much as
Hmm.
Columbus has grown, especially north and northwest,
Hmm.
I do think some of that is probably inevitable. But I look at the landscape, and it really is hard for me to believe almost, but it's also very exciting. And I'd rather be part of it and part of some of those improvements than sit around and complain. I think about maybe, well, Columbus doesn't have this or Columbus doesn't have that. And so I asked many of the guests that have come forward to be on the podcast, graciously be on the podcast, about not only being an alumni, but the reason for coming back. And was that something that you sought after, or was that something that you were recruited for a position to come back to Columbus? So was it something that you considered?
Yeah, so it was probably a little bit of both for me. So my wife, she's also a Lakeview kid, so she grew up on the farm about 15 miles north of town. And so we actually started dating. It would be my senior year, her junior year of high school. Um, Shoot, that's I think about 18 years ago now. It's 2004. Yeah, 18
You should
years
know
ago.
exactly.
I should
The
know
day,
exactly.
time.
You're gonna get me in trouble. You're gonna get me in trouble. No, so we started dating about 18 years ago. So I graduated in '05. She graduated '06. We both went to UNO, Omaha, for school. But we always kind of knew we'd venture back this way. We lived in Omaha for I think about 7 years, which was great, through
Hmm.
college and before kids and all that, when you had all the time in the world
Yep.
to go out and do all the fun things
Yep.
that you can do before you have kids.
Agreed.
So it was great. I started working for the bank in 2008 in one of our Omaha offices. So I
Perfect
worked.
timing. Ooh, 2008.
Yeah, it was interesting. Being a business major, going through all of my business classes in 2008, it was eye opening. So
Mhm.
it was really interesting to go through all that. But yeah, we lived in Omaha and both graduated from UNO. So I actually, um, when I went to UNO, I actually started as a computer engineering major. So when I was a senior out at Lakeview, I didn't quite know what I wanted to get into.
Right.
I always liked numbers. I thought I liked computers. Realized very quickly once I got into school that I didn't know anything about
Right.
computers compared to a lot of my computer engineering classmates. So my first semester, I changed my major to is management information systems was the major. So it's kind of a
Oh,
combination of
yeah.
computers and
Right.
business. And so then I went along with that for a while and then realized I like the business side a lot better. So, I like talking to people. That's a big part of my job now. I
Hmm.
need to be social with people. And so then I changed my major to finance, banking and investments. And that was kind of, like I said, right around 2008. So as I got into my finance and my banking classes, it was really interesting with everything that was going on
Yeah, no
with the
doubt.
crash.
So you weren't able to see prior to that. I tell the agents here and they laugh. It sounds like when a parent will say, I walked 10 miles in the snow uphill, but I'll tell them things like, I remember specifically doing like no doc, no down with a lot of clients. You just walk them into a
Hmm.
bank and say,
Hmm.
they make 400,000, they're breathing, give them a loan, and that's the way it was.
Yep.
So you didn't get to see much of that
No, no.
then.
So yeah, you're right. That was kind of before my time. So even with a lot of my, especially some of my older clients now, it's like, I mean, I don't remember
I hope
having to
I'm not in that
sign all
category.
these. No, I don't remember having to sign all these papers back then. It's like, things have changed a lot from 30, 40 years ago when everything
Yeah,
was done on a handshake.
no doubt about it.
Like I said, I wasn't lending money at that time,
Hmm.
but I hear a lot of stories and
And not only has it changed to maybe signing more forms, but now it's electronic signing of those forms too.
yep,
So
yep.
we get a lot of pushback. Not so much within the office, but I know some of the clients that, "Well, why
Hmm.
does this have to change? And can I just come in and sign the papers?" And
Hmm. Hmm.
so yeah. I mean, sure that the technology piece and the computer engineering, what you do know of that has come in handy the last
Yeah,
couple of
yeah,
years. So
definitely. So, but no, so then I started working for the bank, like I said, in 2008. I worked in Omaha. Then I got moved out to Elkhorn for a couple years, and then it was October of 2012. That was kind of right around the time frame we got married in 2010. So, been married a couple years. Always knew we wanted to come back here. So then I started talking to a few places here and then found a job, and it actually worked out very well for me. So I was working with Pinnacle in Omaha and then was able to transition back to Columbus, stay with the same bank, take a little bit of a promotion, and we got back home. So
that's awesome.
we always knew we'd come back to Columbus, especially with both of our families here.
Right.
That was a big deal to us.
Hmm.
We knew we wanted to have several kids, have grandparents involved in their lives, type of
Yeah.
thing. We both grew up in Columbus, loved growing up in Columbus, and knew that's kind of the same thing we wanted
Makes
for
a
our
big difference,
kids.
doesn't it?
So yeah, and like I said, Omaha was great when we were there.
Agreed.
It just wasn't for us. It's too big
Hmm.
for us to
Yep.
raise a family.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
there were a lot of positives with living in Omaha, but we liked a little bit smaller town atmosphere. But like I said before, Columbus is absolutely growing, and Columbus has a lot to offer.
Right.
I felt like Columbus had a lot to offer me growing up here, and here we are 30 years later,
Right.
and I feel like my kids have an even better opportunity. So you look at
Right.
all the new things that are coming to town. We have the museum or the
Right.
the library going up, the
Right.
Children's Museum.
Hmm.
Um, with what
Which
the
is huge.
hospitals what the hospitals doing with the new field house is going
Hmm.
to be going up. I mean, that's going to be fantastic for our kids
Right,
growing up.
right. And I guess that's what I was getting at previously is with you being in the commercial sector and that really picking up the last 2 years, especially,
Hmm.
has that changed your, um, I guess your client load, or have you seen that increase?
Yes, I mean it's increased. So some of those are, a lot of the things that have been going on are really, really big projects.
Hmm.
So yes, our client loads increase, but some of these deals are done with a little bit different means than
Right.
commercial
Yeah.
banking type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I know you helped us obviously with the subdivision that we did back behind Lakeview, so I'm sure we were probably the most fun clients you've ever had.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
so that's you lived close by,
Hmm.
so that was
Yeah,
kind of
right
nice
in my
to
parents'
probably watch.
backyard.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
see, I said you're going to get me in trouble because
I
now my
know.
parents have a neighbor behind them, and they always used to
Oh,
be cornfields. So
well, I mean, that wasn't all my doing.
I
So,
know,
but
I know.
it's part of
It was,
the
it,
progression,
it
right?
was going to happen, and I mean, it's good. And
Yeah,
the way I look at it is, it's very good for the Lakeview community.
very
Like I said,
good.
we're both very pro Lakeview. That's
Hmm.
just where we grew up, and
Yeah,
that's kind of our community, our people. So there's a lot of new development in the Lakeview area, and the
so
district is
much.
growing.
Yeah.
So, I have my daughter is just got done with first grade out at Shell Creek, and they're just finishing up. Kind of finishing up. They're in the process of adding, a new
That's right.
preschool,
Yeah.
kindergarten, and I think first grade. I think there's
Right.
3 new classrooms, so they'll
Yeah.
have a third track just because they have a lot of kids that are getting out there to go to school.
Wow,
So
incredible. Yeah.
it's good growth for the district. There's a lot of new families moving into the area.
It is. And that's the
Yeah.
thing, I mean, there's a lot of younger families, and I think most people want their tax debt to be reduced. I mean, the only way to do that is to have more people. So I do think that that's helpful, and obviously the progression of moving Columbus forward. And so as you look at the landscape, I just think the only directions really north, northwest. I mean, east is a lot of industrial. South, you're not really going to go there. So, I mean, it's sort of inevitable. So, and so your wife, what does she do?
So she stays at home with our kids. So she was working full time at Lakeview before we had kids,
I
and
thought
then
that.
that was always one of our goals, is for her to stay home. She's still subs,
Sure.
1 or 2 days a week, so it's still kind of a part time gig. But honestly, we've been spoiled rotten because my mom works part time, her mom
That's
stays
awesome.
at home. So between the two of them, they can kind of
Yep.
take turns
3
watching the
kiddos,
kids.
right?
We have 3 kids, so yep. My oldest Nora, just like I said, just finished first grade. Graham, my 4-year-old, just finished his first year of preschool, so he'll have 1 more year of preschool, and he'll be going out to the new preschool at Shell Creek.
Yeah.
So when that's done this fall, and then Carmen, my 18-month-old, she just kind of runs the house. So
That's
she's
funny, of course.
absolutely the boss,
Oh,
the
you're
head
just
honcho
right.
with the family.
Yeah.
So, and it's only going to get worse as she gets
Absolutely
older.
incredible. That's
Yeah,
right.
but we're kind of entering that stage in our life where, okay, now everything we do is focused around kids' activities, and we don't have much time for ourselves anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if I compare to the golf I play now to the golf I played 5 years ago, I mean, it's basically non-existent. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that most people
Yeah.
can relate to that.
Yeah.
Most dads,
Yeah.
I know Tyler did the same. He gave up golf last year and this year, I think, to coach baseball. So this is Mav's second year of baseball. So
Yeah.
that's the way it goes.
So
right?
it's fun. It's like I said, it goes so fast. So you have to do that stuff while they're young because they don't stay young very long.
No, not at all. Having a junior now in high school, I can tell you, it definitely goes fast.
Yeah, so we're enjoying it. Like I said, Nora had her first softball game last night, and it was a blast.
like watching
7-year-old
grass grow.
7-year-old softballers just
Especially
killing it
girls.
out there on the field. So
Yeah, they just make play dates on each base. That's what
pretty
they do.
much.
Yeah.
So she accomplished her goal of getting her shoes and pants as dirty as possible,
That's
and
hilarious.
I think that sealed
Good.
it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
anything else that you enjoy doing around Columbus, or anything that you would add to people looking at coming to Columbus or looking at maybe starting a business, Adam?
One of the things I always talk about too is, I talk about a lot of people that they oftentimes make the comment, well, geez, it seems like you're really busy. You're involved with a lot of stuff. And part of that comes with the territory of working for a bank. You're kind of expected to do a lot of that
Right.
service work, which I enjoy doing. Like I said, I like being social and getting out and meeting people and doing what I can. But what I always talk to people about is, the fact that I thoroughly enjoyed growing up here, but that wasn't, somebody had to put forth that effort to make Columbus a good place for me to grow up. So I kind of always look at it like I'm playing that role now.
Yeah.
I need to do my part to make Columbus a good place for
Right.
my kids to grow up. I know you do a lot of the same things. There's a lot of people in town who spend a lot of time that they don't need to spend making Columbus a good place for
Right.
our kids to grow up. And that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That's not something that happens in every community. We have a lot going for us. Yes, we could have a few more restaurants to eat at. Yes, we could have a few more places to shop. But for a town the size of Columbus, we have a lot going on.
We do.
And there is plenty for our kids to do. And people just have to get out there and really find it. And,
Agreed.
And like I said, it's a great place to raise a family.
Yeah.
And we always knew it would be. And that's why we always knew we'd move back. And we'll never move away. And we're happy we're here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad, because you're right. It takes everyone to be part of it rather than sit back and complain. Go be part of something. Go make it happen. Do that something good in Columbus. And I really appreciate the employers like Pinnacle Bank that do that as well, that really encourage their employees to go out and be involved. So I think that makes a big difference too when you have an employer like that. So. All right, Adam. Well, I appreciate your time today, and see, it wasn't that bad.
No,
so,
not bad. So,
all right.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap.